This is issue number 22 for the Kaiju Engine, where we will set up the mouse events for the X11 window. So I'm on my Linux laptop here. We've previously set up the mouse events for the standard window, and we'll want to now do it on X11. So I'm going to start off by changing this mouse X button to mouse button ID, and we're going to pass in one of these defines. So mouse button left, mouse button middle, right, and then we will have X1 will be 3, X2 will be 4. And that means, before I forget, we need to go to Win32Go. I think it is. No, we need to go to window.go. And we're going to change this. We're actually going to refactor a portion of this stuff. But just so that I don't forget, we're going to put 4 here and 4 here. So now inside of the Windows version here, what we're going to do is we're going to set up a function for setting up this mouse input event. So let's do void set mouse event, and this input event here is only ever used inside of the switch, or only ever assigned inside of the switch. So we can just return a mouse input event rather than taking in the address of it to change it. Next, we want to send in the message, so we can do say the L params here for the X and Y, and also get the W params here to figure out which X button it is, if that is the case. Or this MSG, actually. So what type is that? Message. So we'll pass that in. And then we're just going to take this whole block and cut it, and we'll paste it up here. Now we know which button we're in this case, left, middle, right. So we're going to pass in button ID as an integer, and then we can set IE dot what did we call it? Mouse button ID is equal to button ID. And we can pull this if statement out, and now we can call the set mouse event individually. So mouse move, we're just going to say set mouse event message -1, because we're not doing anything there. We don't have a specific button on that one. And then we set up the left, middle, right, and now we're going to paste in that if statement. And here we will do mouse button X1, mouse button X2. And make sure to break all these guys. Cool. So now that we have wrapped that up, and now we have a correct button ID being sent for each type of button, we can start with the X11 code. So for the X11 header, we have this key press here. So we're going to have key release, and we're going to have button press and button release also added in. I took some notes here. So we have press, release, and we also want motion notify. So this is for when the mouse moves, which I guess it figured out. And we're going to have which button was pressed using this part of the event, xButton.button. So, for example, when we do the key press, we can say we're going to do a similar thing with the event, so let me just copy this input event. Oh, this needs to be IE equals I didn't really finish setting this up, did I? IE equals, and then copy this, paste it up here, and return IE. Okay. Cool. So we're going to do something similar to that, where we have the input event set up before the switch type, and we're going to have a similar set mouse event function. However, we're not going to have a message here. We're going to have we already have the event. We want to get the mouse X and mouse Y, and the problem here is actually that instead of doing this, we'll manually write it in and see what we can copy over, because the motion and the mouse button X and Y's are going to be different. So here we can say IE dot. Let's just copy these three because we're going to want them on all of them. I'm going to say that the mouse X is going to be e.xbutton.x .y, and the button ID we can get from e.xbutton.button. So you can say if, oh, I think that is actually what I wanted. Xbutton button is button 1, button 2, button 3, button 4, button 5. Actually, let's do this. Let's change this. Change the below to a switch. So we're going to say switch X button, and then we'll have it as a switch here, because I like switches. So this is going to be, and then the button ID we don't need to set that way. So we're going to have this as the key. This is key press, my bad. We're going to have this instead of the button press, and also in the button release. These two are going to do the same thing. So we'll just fall through to the button release. And then for the motion notify, this one's going to be a little different. We don't need the button set, so we're going to get rid of that. Put this to -1. We'll probably make that a define. And we want to use e.xmotion.x and e.xmotion.y for the x and y of those. Lastly, we need to send the, we need to actually write the input event the same way we do here. So let's see where we, so it's written, we're going to copy the input event in there as part of the ESM data. Cool. And that should give us the mouse position and button click. So let's go back here. We're still on Linux and the debug, good. And we'll see where we're at. Oh, this button ID. Let's go to window go, or sorry, shared mem go. And this mouse X button, we're going to change to mouse button, oops, mouse button ID. Oh my gosh. I'm on a laptop, so the keyboard keys are a little obnoxious sometimes. When you have the page up above the left and the page down above the right arrow, and then they're all squished as little tiny buttons. Cool. So we'll take a look at this. We don't have this to event type, and I'm not sure if we even need this anymore, because now we have the button ID. Here, let's just see. Win32 go to event type. So mouse move, I guess, yeah, we do need something similar in the X11 Go code. So let's paste this in. And these numbers, I don't know what they're going to be. So we're just going to return unknown. And we're going to do the same format.println native type so that we can see what it is. Let's run this. Okay, built really fast because Linux. There we go. So 6 is a move. 4 and 5 is mouse down and up. I don't have a left click on here. I might have to plug in a mouse or right click. So 6 is move. Let's bring back our list of things here. So mouse move is 6, left down 4, 5, and I think these are all going to be 4 and 5 because remember that the X11 code here is button press, button release. It's not telling you which button it was. So those are going to all have the same event code, which means we're going to have to change this to pass in the shared memory to get the to get this mouse event out of it. So maybe what we will do is we'll create a function here. We'll call it toEventType, the same thing, and we'll pass that in so we have access to that code. And I'm just gonna do this. So now we can say if it's 4 or 5, it's going to be one of the other events. So if it's 4, this is a mouse, is a button down. So we can say e.toMouse event, and then .mouse button ID. We can do a switch on that. If we are in well, we should follow this defining we have here. Let's copy this and let's put it inside of so this shared memory is event memory. I think this is a fine place for it for now. Do that. Mouse button left, middle, right equals. And I could use iota here, but we'll just, since we're copying and pasting it, we'll just leave it as is. And we'll call this native mouse button because we're getting it from native code. So case native mouse left, I return that one, middle, right, X1, X2. Get rid of that. And the default is going to be unknown. And we can just copy this whole. Actually, it should be able to figure it out. Search button ID left, up, yep. Let's let it just do its thing. Default event unknown. Okay. So now we have our toEvent here, and we're going to change this to be w.evt shared memory .toEvent, and we're just passing in the event type here, so we can cut that out and pass in e.eventType. That means we'll have to do this for the Windows, the Win32 Go as well. The Go file. Do the same thing, and the native event type is going to be this switch. Okay. Now we'll run this, and we don't have our debugs, but we will come over into the X11 Go, and we'll just do a quick format.printf, print line. You just do print line. Print line. Left mouse down. Print line. There we go. Now it's figured it out. Print line. Up. 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 I'll need to plug in a mouse to do those, and print line mouse move. Let's run this real quick. We're getting the mouse move, left down, left up, right down, right up. I don't think I have a middle. Oh, I do have a middle. It's a 3-finger click on here. Cool. There's the middle. Now, I definitely don't have the X and the X buttons, but we'll have to live with this and test out the X buttons later when I have a mouse available for that. Cool. And that's going to wrap up what we need to do here. Of course, I'm going to have to run this on Windows just to make sure it's still working. And that's that. Okay, I'm back on Windows here, and we are getting an error. It looks like missing Terminator. Win32.h. Line 34. Yep, missing Terminator there. Oh, one there too. On Windows, it doesn't seem to want to do any syntax highlighting or anything like it does on Linux. This is still working, it's still closing, but like on Linux, we want to make sure that we're getting the correct stuff here. So print line, mouse move, print line, left down, left up. Just do each one of these. Make sure it's all good. X1/2, mouse up. We'll do a separate prep for those. So mouse move, left mouse down, up, right mouse down, up, middle mouse down, up, X1 down, up, X2 down, up. Cool. So we'll just come in, remove these guys, and then we'll double check that X1 and X2 are getting the right values inside of this guy here. So print line X2 down, print line X1 down, print line X2 up, print line X1 up. So here, X2 down, X1 up, X1 down, X1 up. Interesting. Oh, these are both. Oh yeah, they're supposed to be. X2 down, let's see. Now the mouse up is -1. So we're getting a -1 for the X2 up. Okay. So the only way that would happen is if we're passing in -1 to the set mouse event here. with this. We're doing X1. Interesting. So we're doing the same thing in both down and up. So it gets the down, but it doesn't get the up. That's an odd one. I'm going to do some logging here and we'll see what it says. Okay, just taking a look at the documentation, I'm using these masks against the W param to determine which one that I'm dealing with here. But we have another thing here for the L param telling us if it's a 1 or 2 for the value to say which one it is. So let's see if the X button down has the same L param. So the X button down has the same L param. So we can use L param here instead of doing the mask against the W param like we're doing here. We can just say if L param is equal to 1, then it's going to be that one. Otherwise, if L param is equal to 2, it's going to be that one. So I'm going to get rid of these prints because I'm pretty sure that'll solve our problem. Let's take a look. So X1 down, X1 up, X1 down, X1 up. Nope, it did not solve our problem. Time to do some more logging to see what I may have done wrong here. Maybe because I'm doing is equal to. It says that's what the value is, but the low order word specifies the x coordinate of the cursor. So it's going to have the x coordinate and the y coordinate, just like when we do the get XL param here. There may be another macro we can use for the X button, but this is likely going to be an and 0x001 and 0x002 kind of scenario. While that builds, I'm going to check out if there is a macro that we can use to make this easier. And extract that value. And I just realized that I read the documentation wrong. I read this box associated L param, even though L param is about this. I read this a little bit more clearly. This is the low order word indicates this stuff, and then the high order word indicates this stuff. So we want to get the high order word. Also, just so you know, that's why there's only 2 bytes here, because this is the low order bytes and these are the high order bytes. So we want to get the high order bytes, and we can easily just convert this to 0000, 0000. This would be the easiest way. And we're going to go back to using the W param. So here we have X2 down, X2 up, X1 down, X1 up. So now it's working correctly. Cool. And now Windows is set to go.